Welcome back, my name is LastKnownMeal and today we're gonna be talking about The Witcher 3. It's been a while since I made a video around The Witcher games and there has been some things on my mind I wanna talk about. Even though The Witcher 3 came out in 2015 and on May 5th, 2019 it's going to be 4 years old. Damn, I feel old now. But the game is still holding out very well and seems to me that the older it gets the more I want to play it. And I love how the gameplay and the story is still very much relevant today, and how much of an impact that game had on the industry since it influenced many future games, and I'm certain that it's going to influence even more in the future. But before we go into that, just a quick word from our sponsors. Today's video is brought to you by ChronoGG. They host 24-hour sales for video games, and today we have Dark Souls 3 on the menu that has been discounted from $59.99 to $14. And for a game like Dark Souls 3, this price is amazing, and if you never got into this game before, I highly recommend you do it now. It has amazing gameplay, and even though you will die a lot, once you defeat that boss, you will feel so good. Click the link down below and check it out. Now, going back to The Witcher 3, I always wanted to mention the story a bit, since one thing that always stood out in games made by CDPR was the story, and I always loved this connection that Geralt has with the people around him. The situations he is put through really define him as a character, and not just that, but also other characters that you meet throughout the game leave an impact on you. Even the minor characters you meet, like for example Hunter Mislav. You can talk with Hunter Mislav really early in the game, and besides just being a random NPC that tells you where the next objective is, he is actually someone with a past and his own story, where he fell in love with the Lord's son Florian and that got him exiled from the manor, and he is now basically a local hunter. This is a minor story, but having people like these that have their own past is what makes a world alive and immerses you into that universe even more. Another story I want to talk about is the Bloody Baron quest. If you watched my previous videos, you know that I can't stop praising that quest, since it perfectly sums up how characters should be written, that even the biggest players in the kingdom have weaknesses and deal with everyday issues like family, children, PTSD and more. And the character arc from the Bloody Baron is superb, since you can finally see this change from denial first, then all the way to compassion and care, because once he realizes that everything that has happened is his fault, he is going to go through a change from a drunk to a caring husband, again depending on your choices throughout that same quest. But this is a perfect example of how a certain quest should be written for a video game. Since even though the game takes a bit of time to finish, I was able to get through it 2 times already. Keep in mind, once I play the game, I go through every single thing, and also with my somewhat busy schedule, I was able to find time to finish it. Because the pacing of the story is really good, and this quest to find Ciri and repel the Wild Hunt feels like I am role-playing through the movie or even a TV series. Because it's always hard to make something fresh and make it stand out, and The Witcher 3 serves as a graduation project for CDPR. Everything that has led to that game being developed, like the first 2 games that were shaping The Witcher 3 even before it came out. In all of their games you can see some kind of progress, but it was this game that reached the pinnacle of hype, and is a game that most people bought. Witcher 3, I think, for most people, is the first Witcher game they played. It's what got them on the market as one of the best developers of our time. And even today, with all the new games that came out, it seems to me that The Witcher 3 is still going strong. And I can see that because with every new sandbox or RPG game that comes out, it's compared to The Witcher 3. Now, I'm not saying that The Witcher 3 is the best game ever created, but I do say it's one of the best. Look, it's very difficult to decide what is the best, because when you think about it, something can be the best when it comes out. But throughout the years, new stuff is coming out, and since tech is moving forward, something always comes up that could do things better than the previous game. But you always have to remember all the things that led to that game being developed, to all the previous games that influenced this game that does things better than the previous game. They have to be influenced by their, predecessor, and The Witcher 3 is one of those games that is going to serve as a blueprint for the next generation of RPGs. One example is Gothic 1. When it came out, the idea they've had and what they implemented was amazing with their technology, which was very limited at that time. And what they created was amazing. And I can 100% say to you that Gothic is one of the games that influenced the creation of The Witcher. One of the games. I'm not saying it's the only game, but it's definitely one of the RPG games that influenced, that was mentioned in their meetings when they were creating The Witcher, because it left such a strong mark. And The Witcher 3 is also one of those games that left a very strong mark in the history of video games. Again, there is no doubt that The Witcher 3 is already a classic and it passed the test of time, because for me what separates a great game from a good game is that it's relevant even years after it comes out. It doesn't have to be the most polished or have the best graphics, but a classic can only become something that you mention when you talk about gaming, that is relevant even years after it comes out. That's why games like Morrowind, Metal Gear Solid, Zelda, Bioshock, Half-Life, The Last of Us, Mass Effect, and many others are played and talked about even today, because they did something which is so good that it's going to influence everything else that comes out after it. And when you think about it, Mass Effect Trilogy is still played more than Andromeda, which is a newer game. And why is that? Because the original trilogy is still better. And it did something that makes people want to come back to that game. It could be the story, it could be the gameplay, it could be the characters, who knows? But it's relevant even today. Same with The Witcher 3. Even though it has problems like everything in life, those things are still minor compared to all the good things this game has. So even today when I see comparisons with The Witcher 3, like Red Dead Redemption 2 for example, that game has been compared like crazy with The Witcher, and it's always hard to compare them since number one, Red Dead 2 is also a great game. It would be like you said, who is a better scientist, Albert Einstein or Richard Feynman? Both of them contributed to physics in their own fields. Same with amazing video games. They all do something great in their own way and their own field. You can't compare two great games, it doesn't make sense. So it's always great to see that The Witcher 3 is still a relevant game, a game people talk about and still serves as an example for future open world RPG games, and also how expansions should be done. It was nice going back to The Witcher 3, I am sure that after this video I will start my third playthrough. But this is everything I have for today. Tell me down below what do you think about The Witcher 3, do you agree with me, do you disagree with me, tell me down below in the comments. Also smash that like and subscribe button if you want to see more of The Witcher, and visit me up on Twitter and Discord for other news and discussions we have. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone, bye bye.